Today on Random Help, we'll be talking about the UK education system and how it works. So this is primarily for people who are outside of the UK, and I hope you enjoy this video. So let's get to it. So school starts when you are around 4 or 3 or 5, that kind of age, and you start at nursery. And then you go to reception, then year 1 to 6, and this whole from nursery to year 6 is called primary school. Some children do go to preschool, which is just before primary school, and that's where they are placed as sort of like a childcare system thing where parents go to work, but this is not compulsory. It's compulsory to put a child into nursery at the age of around 4 or 3, and once they're there, they learn maths and English primarily, and at the end, in year 6, they will get a test called a SATS test, and they get a test in English and a test in maths. They've changed it quite a lot, but tends to be a comprehension text for English and a writing text. But they've taken out writing now, and it's really about spelling and grammar. Maths test is just the basic maths, I think a little bit of algebra here and there, and that's up to year 6. And then after year 6 you move into secondary school, and this is where they're prepared for GCSE. That's the main test. Before there used to be a Key Stage 3 test between year 7 and 9, but that's got cancelled, and no one really does that. So GCSEs are quite important because it determines what sort of jobs you can get. It determines it determines what sort of universities you can get into, and you take around 12 subjects. Some do less, some do more, but it's around 12 subjects you take. So you have to do English, you have to do maths, and you have to do sciences. One of the sciences you can take a double science, or you have to take triple science. Some people do single science, but double science is preferred. So after you've done all this, you get your GCSE results, and you will get a certain amount of grades, and this grade will determine what sort of university you can apply for. Some universities don't really look at GCSEs, but most do. Most top universities, or called the Russell Group universities, look for these really good GCSEs. And so good GCSEs tend to range from around 8 to 12 A stars. That's the sort of really good GCSE grades. And it is really competitive, so people have to do really well in the GCSEs. As well as GCSEs, after GCSEs, so this finishes in year 11. If you do it yearly, you do it in year 10. So you do it in year 11, and then you move on to 6th form. 6th form is year 12 and 13. Here you do your AS and A2 levels. Now, due to latest reforms, it's been done linear, so there is no AS and A2. It's just a whole complete A level in linear for certain subjects. So science has done this, so all sciences have done this, and maths has not done this actually. They've stuck with modular. So I only know about this, but there might be other subjects. After this has been done, they use something called they use tests before university to determine if you can get in or not, because sometimes GCSE results aren't enough, and AS levels don't really tell you much sometimes, because they might be doing great in AS but not great in A level generally. That's why the reform was put in place, but because you apply for university in year 13, the beginning of year 13, where you don't get any of the A level results, universities don't really know fully how well you're going to do. So the universities, what they do is take admission tests. So for things like computer science, they'll take MATs, I think that's what it's called. Medical students have to take a BMAT test or a UK CAT test, depending on what universities you want to go to. So BMATs tests are done by UCL, Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, things like that, and UK CAT is the majority of all other medical schools. Some medical schools don't even look at this, and will look at more of the things you do in your personal statement. Now, what is the personal statement? Personal statement is where you tell university, what you've done outside of the school. So this is important in sixth form. You have to do a lot of outside activities to really get into the top universities, because they look for things like that. So they look for things like work experience, things for academic potential, so things you've done like Olympiads and Crest Award, things like that. Crest Awards is a project where you do as a science project. I'm talking very from a science background, but other people have done other things for English, maybe like an essay competition, and they put these down, and they look really good in their personal statement, and you are favoured upon if you do things like this. So if you don't have good GCSEs, this is something you should do. Also, you have to really do good in your admission test. This really does make or break everything, because admission tests shows the potential you have, like your latest potential, just before you when you're applying. But GCSE shows that this was before, and you might have improved. Especially things like Cambridge, look at it. Oxford tend to look more into your GCSEs, but they do say they look equally between GCSEs and BMATs, that test they take. So after that, you go into university. You can do quite a lot of things. You've got a lot of extracurricular activities you can do, and you have also different degree options. Some universities offer to intercalate degrees, so you can choose 2 different degrees and put them together, and so you have 2 degrees essentially. So you may do. So in 3 years, maybe you do a 3-year degree, you take it to 4, so you do an extra degree in the second or third year, whenever you choose to. Also, university grades goes 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, and then 3, and then you just fail. So all employers will look for 1-1s or 2-1s. If you get lower than that, you don't tend to compete very well against other people, and so these are taken into consideration when you're in employment. There are other routes you can take. It doesn't always have to be this GCSE A-level university route. You can take another route. You can do NVQs, diplomas, BTEC, things like that. Sometimes these are looked at less favourably upon, but there are still options you can take, and they will still be able to get you the jobs you may want to do. So say you wanted to do medicine, but you didn't have the best grades and your school isn't great, you can do things like access courses where you do an extra year and then you go into normal medicine. So things like that. So I'm talking really from a science perspective and medicine perspective, because this is something I want to do. But there are other routes you can take. I'm just saying there are other routes for other subjects as well. So, and it's important that you understand what you're doing as well in the education system, like what you want to do in terms of degrees, because it really does depend on what you want to do and what you like. Because if you don't like your subject, you will find it hard in degree level, because it gets really intense, and you have to do good in your A levels as well, because it really depends on what university you go to as well. Some subjects and universities. So if you choose a subject like maths and you don't go to a great university, sometimes it doesn't look great on you. So you might have to apply to a really good university so you can get the best jobs, and that is an important factor people have to take into consideration. So UK students have to take into consideration. So that's all from me today, and I'm taking my test right now, and I'm in during GCSEs. A few of mine. I'm doing English literature and economics, and after that I am taking AS and A2, and I will be taking 5 subjects. I'm taking 3 sciences: biology, chemistry and physics, maths and further maths, and I hope I survive that. And that's all from me today. Random Hope, over and out, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something. Bye.